What is good, YouTube? And today I'm here to share you guys a tool that I hope you guys can find helpful in terms of building your teams and, progressing through the game. Now, as you guys know, there's a ton of bosses that you have to build teams for. And if you guys don't know, how to build your teams, the easiest thing to do is to go into recent clears and just kind of copy the builds that they have. And I know it's a pretty tasking thing to do because it's really hard to actually just see at first glance what you're missing out on. You have to go back and forth. You might have to write it down and do calculations by yourself. But today I'm here to show you a tool that I haven't created, but someone named UHT Conway from the Free Agents Guild. This guild is basically top 10, I believe. If we go into United Front, they're going to be rank 9 right now, and he actually contacted me to actually reach out to a larger audience because he thinks this tool, and I know for sure it will help, a lot of people out there that are struggling to build their teams for PvE. And it works for shells, it works for pretty much any area of content. All you really have to do is use the link down below. It's not like a sponsor or anything, don't worry about that. It's just a Google Drive file that, is perfectly safe. I've been using it and testing it. And what you need to do is just find a team comp that, you want to replicate, and you can just insert their stats and just see what you're missing out on. So I actually have it up here. You can see how it works. The first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to want to read through the how to use tab. I'm not going to read through it all, but basically to summarize it, the easiest way to use this would be to actually, I guess the only way to use this is you need to go to File and you want to press Make a Copy. The reason why is because the link I have down below is going to be view only, as you can see. So you actually cannot input anything. And the reason why is because it's a template, right? We don't want trolls, just putting in random stuff for people to see. So you want to make a copy, and this will put it into your Google Drive. And what that actually does is it allows you to actually start editing. You can see now I can start editing whatever I want. And at the bottom here, you'll see that there's different types of tabs. So this is going to help for PvE and PvP. And you can see there's shell clears, there's going to be module clears, and there's going to be PvP tuning. The reason why the shell and module clears are separated is because it's 4-man content versus 5-man. And basically, you're going to see that there's 3 separate columns. The first one is going to be the clearboard team. So basically, if I go to the game here and I go to whatever team I want, let's say, for example, I'm going to Rengokutsu, right? And I'm trying to build my Rengokutsu team. I don't know how to build it. What you would do is go to recent clears, find the team comp that you want to use. Let's say, you want to use one of these comps, and then back onto the spreadsheet, you would just input manually all of the stats that, are on those characters on the clearboard. Now, for your team that you want to use, you would then input your stats that you can actually reach by equipping all your gear, and then automatically it is going to show you the comparison in the last column. You can see if it's red, it's like going to tell you how much you're missing in terms of defense, speed, attack, and stuff like that. And if it's green, it means you're above by a certain number. So for example here, you can see on the clearboard team, the Sonya here is going to be 55,000 health, but on my team, it's going to be 49,750. So that means I'm below the required marks to actually replicate that team by 5,530. Let's say I actually bump up my HP here to like 56,000. Then you're going to see right away, it will automatically update and then it will actually turn green. So this is a great tool to actually, build your teams for PvE. And it's something I really recommend you guys actually trying out if you're newer to the game, because it just makes it a lot easier and organizes it a lot easily, if that makes sense. And it'll just make it so that building your team will be a lot more easier to see in just like one, window where you can see where you're missing out on stats and what you need to improve, right? So this is a tool that is very, very nice. I've been using it as well to replicate some speed teams so I can show you guys in Showcase. And, it can actually just tell you what you're missing out on, right? So if I'm missing damage on a one-shot team, it'll tell you right away what stats you're missing out on, and you can actually improve them to try to get, better DPS, or if your supports are dying, just higher health and stuff like that. Or even if your debuffs are missing, just more effect accuracy. So this works for shells. It's the same exact thing for modules as well. You can see this is a standard Aurora team with Rosa, Lily, Valerian, Viper, and then Glow. So if you have Rosa and you're trying to replicate this, then basically you can just input your stats, and you can see down here, you can see what you are missing out on and what you have more than enough of for stats here, right? So very good tool to use. It'll also work for PvP as well. For the PvP tuning, it's mostly going to be for speed. You can see that you can type in your speed here, and then on the turn meter bar, when you're actually looking at, when you press the buff button, it tells you the turn meter bar. you can actually calculate the other unit's speed. So if your speed's, for example, like let's say your speed is like 270, and on the turn meter bar you're showing up at 91%, so you would put 0.91, you can actually calculate the other unit's speed. And this is going to be very helpful for United Front, especially if you're attacking defenses, because if you lose the defense, you can use this to report to your guild or your union what the speed is of the enemy defense. So yeah, just a tool I wanted to show you guys. It's very, very simple to use. All you guys need to do is just copy it over to your drive and start putting in the numbers. And hopefully you find it as useful as I do. I think it's a great tool that I didn't make. It's UHT Conways from Free Agents once again. But thank you again for showing me this, and I'm glad that I'm able to show all my viewers this as well. And hopefully you guys found it as useful, or find it as useful as I do, whether it be for speedrunning, whether it be for building your first teams, or even for future content that comes out in forms of harder difficulties if you're struggling to build your teams. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.